Hello everyone and welcome back into another video. Today we're back in Warframe with another build showcase, and this time we are going to talk about Frost Prime. He's been in kind of a bad spot for the last few years, but now after the status changes and also a bit of a rework, he is in a much better state and he is actually also really strong. But that is enough introductions for now, so let's jump into the build. Alright, as always, let's start from Archon Shards. What I recommend is using at least one Amber Archon Shard with casting speed. It can be a normal one or a Tau Forge one, it doesn't really matter, but at least get one because his abilities do have a very long casting animation and these shards will fix that. Then I also suggest running at least one Azure Archon Shard with armor because armor is really important for his whole kit, but more on that later. And the other three slots are completely up to you. You can either add more armor or more casting speed. You can add parkour speed if you want. You can even add a bit more power strength if you want, because that will also be useful for his kit. And of course duration isn't bad either, so yeah, those are pretty much the Archon Shards I suggest. Let's now have a look at Frost Prime's abilities. Starting from the passive, it does increase the duration of cold status effects by 100%, which is already very strong because that means we can freeze enemies for a longer period of time. And also, Frost gains 50 armor per enemy affected by cold within 15 meters, and that makes the passive really strong. Moving to his first ability, this one is called Freeze. When you cast ability, you summon this orb that will freeze enemies on impact and also create this AoE, which is affected by your range mods. It does deal some minor damage, which is affected by your power strength, and it also freezes enemies for a certain duration, which is affected by your ability duration. Then we have his second ability called Ice Wave. This is a very literal ability. It will summon this, ice wave in front of you in a cone shape. It does have a very long range of 20 meters and a width of 3 meters, which means the wave starts at 3 meters and it becomes even bigger at the end, which is really cool. It deals double the amount of damage that Freeze does, and that makes sense because the ability costs double the amount. And if you want to use an element ability instead, these two abilities are the best candidates to subsume over because they aren't that great, and I do suggest removing Ice Wave because it does cost more than Freeze, and that is pretty much it. Then we have his third ability called Snow Globe. Base health of the Snow Globe depends on your power strength and your armor. The orb is invulnerable to damage for 4 seconds whenever you cast ability. During these 4 seconds, it will store all the damage it takes from the outside and convert a portion of the damage into health. So that means the more damage, the more health the globe has. When there's enemies inside the bubble, when you cast ability, they will be launched outside and they will take damage if they hit something, which is interesting because they take percentage damage. So it doesn't matter what level they are. You can have up to 4 snow globes at the same time. And if you recast a snow globe inside an already existing snow globe, it does basically refresh its HP. It does refresh the invulnerability timers. And that's a very powerful tool when you're defending something because you can just spam your snow globe every 4 seconds and the target you're protecting will basically take no damage. And finally we have Avalanche, which is his fourth ability. It's a very simple ability, luckily. It's not as complicated as Snow Globe. You just cast ability. It does have a radius of 50 meters at base, which is huge. It staggers the enemies when you cast ability and then freezes them, and it also removes armor from enemies. The base armor reduction is 60%, so that means that with 160% power strength you basically fully armor strip the enemies. It does also deal 1500 damage at base, so if you are in a low level mission you can just build for maximum range and add some power strength and it will basically kill all the enemies in that radius, which is kind of cool. Frozen enemies can be shattered and they will explode, and deal some minor damage to other enemies. So overall very good for low level because it can kill enemies really fast, and very good for endgame because it has the ability to armor strip. Alright, and it's finally time to have a look at the actual build. It does not need 7 formas, you just need like 3 or 4. I also subsumed an ability over Ice Wave. I am using Elemental Ward instead, and I am using the cold version because it does increase my armor by 224%. It does also reflect bullets back to enemies, and those bullets will also have a chance to apply cold statuses. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good ability, and having more armor is really important for a thing I will explain in a little. Once I'm using Corrosive Projection as my aura, and that is because with this build Avalanche only removes 93% of the armor from enemies, so Corrosive Projection takes care of the remaining 7%. Then I'm using Amar's Anguish in my Exodus slot, and that's because I won't be needing Prime Sure-Footed, so I'm using something that gives me more parkour speed and also some sprint speed because the base speed of Frost is only 0.95, which is kind of slow, and it also adds a bit of parkour speed, which is always nice. Then I'm using Archon Flow to increase my energy pool and also have a chance to drop some energy orbs when I kill enemies with my cold abilities, Prime Continuity to increase my ability duration, Stretch to increase my range, Rolling Guard to become invulnerable after a dodge for 3 seconds with a cooldown of 7 seconds, and also to remove all status effects that are affecting my Warframe. Then I'm using Umbral Fiber to increase my armor and also Umbral Intensify to increase my ability strength. They also buff each other, so I gain even more armor and even more power strength. And then I'm using 2 of Frost augments that are Biting Frost, that increases crit chance and crit damage by 200% against frozen enemies. And finally, I'm using Icy Avalanche. This augment grants 60 overguard per enemy hit with your avalanche, so your 4th ability, and additionally the overguard you gain is increased by 20% of your armor per enemy, and that's already broken with those base stats, but they are both affected by power strength. That means that we actually gain 93 overguard per enemy, and the armor to overguard conversion is also 31% over total armor per enemy hit. So yeah, it's just an insane amount of overguard we gain, and it will make surviving in higher level mission a lot easier. And the buff also applies to all the allies within affinity range, which is 40 meters at base, I think it is. So yeah, you can also protect your bodies. Moving to my arcane slots, I'm using Arcane Energize to replenish a ton of energy once in a while, and also we are using Arcane Avenger to gain crit chance when we are damaged for 12 seconds. This is a flat 45% crit chance for all our weapons, so it just adds 45% crit chance to whatever weapon we are using at that moment, and that's different than Biting Frost because this one is multiplicative, so it means that you have to use high crit chance weapons to gain the most out of this mode. And on the topic of weapons, these are the weapons I went for, and they all are very strong, but most importantly, the 10th Glaxion, I said it wasn't an amazing weapon a while ago in a video I made like a few months ago. With this Frost build, this weapon is completely busted, broken even. This is the build I am using. It's nothing incredible, it's basically a Blast Toxin build with primary Merciless, and if you have primary Blight on a like rank 5 or so, yeah, definitely use this one. It's probably a lot more damage, so yeah, if you have this one to max rank, use this one. As for my secondary, I'm using the Grimoire, and this is the build I'm using on the Grimoire. It's an interesting build, I will say, and I will also release a full video about this weapon because I think it deserves a bit of love. So yeah, it's a very strong weapon, and it also increases our ability efficiency by 60% just by using the Alt Fire, which is insane for Frost because we have to spam abilities like crazy. And finally, I'm using the Sigma and Octantis as my melee of choice with this build, which is nothing crazy, and well, I did miss Dreamer's Wrath over here, but yeah, it's the usual melee influence build, so nothing crazy here, nothing to see, just use whatever melee you like. I just like this one. For my focus tree, I'm using Zenoric, and that is for the passive energy regeneration and also the 20% ability strength bonus. As for my companion, I am using the Panzer Vulpaphyla to spread viral to all the enemies, and this pet is also immortal, so that's just bonus points. Okay, that is pretty much the whole build. Let's now see it in action against some enemies. And I mean, yeah, the build isn't exactly that crazy to showcase against standing enemies because they will just disappear. But yeah, what we do is, I guess we can cast our Wellspring here and cast our 4, and enemies are now armor shipped, and we can do whatever we want with them. We can use our Glaxion, and they just disappear. So that's a thing you can do with Frost, and it's really strong. And you can also use the Grimoire if you want, because it also has an interesting kind of thing that happens when you use the Alt Fire with the build I'm using right now. You of course want to armor shape the enemies again, and you cast the Alt Fire, and the enemies will just die, like without doing anything basically. So yeah, this weapon, it's really cool, and it does deal a surprising amount of damage, which I mean, yeah, we like dealing a lot of damage, so yeah, Grimoire is very strong. And finally we have our melee. Again, we armor shape the enemies, and I mean, they're all dead. Like it's unusual, the usual melee influence build. So nothing to see here. Very strong weapon, melee influence. The enemies won't survive, so that's pretty cool. Now, if you want to maximize the amount of overguard you gain, what you do is you use your one, and it will apply cold to some enemies. And you can see up here we have the bonus armor, which in this case is 750. Then you want to cast your elemental word, and that increases your armor by like 200% or something, which is completely insane. Then we use our 4, and we gain 16,783 overguard just by doing that. Now, this huge amount of overguard you gain from enemies only happens once per enemy, so after you armor ship the enemies, you want to delete them and spam some fresh ones, because they are now useless. They only give you the like 93 overguard or so. Yeah, you just want to kill enemies and you keep using your 4 to refresh a ton of overguard. And I mean, we can showcase that. It's really easy to survive with this build. I mean, we have rolling guard. If we are in a bad situation, we can cast our 4 whenever we want. Use elemental guard to gain even some more armor. I mean, and enemies are always frozen. Like, you don't have to worry about enemies killing you if they are frozen. So, I mean, do I have to say anything else? Like, he literally cannot die if you are playing correctly. He deals a stupid amount of damage thanks to the augment and, well, thanks to the weapons we are using, because they're really strong. Also, enemies affected by cold take, I think, more crit damage, so that's even better. And yeah, I mean, he just is that strong. And even if we like summon the enemies and we're just standing there for a while, we like let our overguard go down, we just recast it. You don't have to worry about anything happening to us, because, well, whenever we press ability, it staggers the enemies first, so they cannot move. So it's just insanely strong. And also, when you cast the globe inside enemies, as we said, they take damage, and if they hit something, they take even more damage. And that's a pretty cool little thing that Frost can do, I guess. And yeah, I just had too much fun playing with Frost for this last few days while I was testing with this build. So yeah, I do recommend giving Frost a try. He is really fun to play with. And of course, this was just a Simulacrum Showcase. I will also add the usual 10 minutes of survival against some Grineer enemies in a Steel Path to showcase what this build is actually capable of. And if you liked the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Have a great rest of the day, and bye-bye.
Come and set me free. Come and set me free. Come and set me free. Give me what I need. Come and set me free. Give me what I need. Come and set me free, 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 free. Come and set me free. Give me what I need.
I didn't wanna see you when you came home, 'cause you always try to hurt me, and that's so low. When I talk to you about it, you're in defense mode. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. How can we work on ourselves when you say no? Whoa, oh, oh, oh. I'll never go on like this, so don't you think you got me up yet? I can't seem to deal with this. You try so hard to pull me in. I'll never go on like this, so don't you think you got me up yet? I can't seem to deal with this. You try so hard to pull me in.
She got me hooked up.
Well, she pulling me in like a black hole, trapped in a grip and I can't break. Out of control and I can't feel my soul and my heart on my damn face. 'Cause I ain't be nothing without her. A king with no queen and no damn kingdom, serving up hate with a cold vengeance. Fuck, but I hate her, we can't slay them. Yeah, she's got me hooked, I'm down a ride. Leaving, she tried to kill me, I can see it in her eyes. Yeah, she's got me shook, this my demise. I'm bleeding, can someone heal me? I can't deal with no more lies.
I'll never go on like this, so don't